Hey guys, this review is going to be about the eCELL 2-channel focus black box with Wi-Fi. This camera is pretty unique compared to all the other ones I've reviewed. It's most similar to the Panorama X1 or the SG ZC12RC, which is the Street Guardian version of the Panorama X1. Now, as you can see from the picture, it has two remote lenses, but unlike the Street Guardian or the Panorama X1, there is no screen on the actual recording unit, so you can hide the recording unit somewhere, such as your glove box or under your dashboard somewhere, and then the camera lenses are actually really small. Now, the big downside to this camera is the fact that it only has 720p in front and back. Before we get started, I wanted to say that this was sent to me for review by blackboxmycar.com. I'll provide a link down below to their website and this actual product if you're ever interested. So you can quick pause here if you want to see the specs listed on the side. But like I said, it's only 720p front and rear, and that's going to be a big hard sell for a lot of people, at least in the US. It's pretty apparent that it does target the Korean market, because in South Korea they seem to not be super concerned with the highest resolution image, as long as they can record and see what happens in an accident. But there are a lot of other benefits to this camera, besides the fact that it has a lower resolution than what most people expect. Like I said before, the unit is very small. This is the little Wi-Fi dongle for it, so even though there's no screen, you can actually get a live feed from your Android or iPhone. And one of the best features of this camera, besides its form factor, is the fact that it has a true parking mode. And it also has battery discharge protection, so if it senses that your car's battery is too low, it will cut the power off to the camera. But it does only actually come with a 12-volt socket connector. So here you can see the memory card that came with is unbranded. This one is a 16 gigabyte memory card. So I'll quickly show the ports on here. We got a USB for the Wi-Fi dongle, GPS, TV out, Cam 1, Cam 2, and then the power in on the far right. So it's pretty slick. I really like this design. So let's look at the cameras now. They're very small. They're smaller than the Blackview rear cameras. They're about the same size as the Panorama X1 lens, but I prefer the Panorama ones because they mount on the side as opposed to above the lens. Either way, a remote lens is better than the traditional dash camera to me, because it's going to look a lot smaller in your window and be a lot harder to notice. Overall, I think these cameras are pretty great. So let's go ahead and see what's in the rest of the box. Nothing left. So this is an adhesive mount for the DVR. Clips onto the side like that. The only thing I noticed right away is I wish it was on the other side. It doesn't actually fit on the other side if you try, but there's ventilation on that side. So there you can see it doesn't reach on that side. But it seems like it would make more sense to have ventilations on the other side, because when you mount it to something flat, something's going to be virtually blocking that surface. But there are ventilation holes on the side too. It probably doesn't run very high heat either, so it shouldn't be a problem. So here we got the 12-volt power cord, one of the camera USB cables, and this does use micro USB. I really like that it does have the 90-degree angle on one end. I'm usually not a huge fan of micro USB, but at the same time you shouldn't be pulling this in and out a lot, so it shouldn't be a problem. So here's the other cable. It's much longer, as you can see. It looks quite a bit bigger. So that's for the rear camera. And this does actually come with a hardwiring kit. Now this package costs $240 US, which might sound like a pretty high price, but when you compare it to other two-channel systems, it's actually quite a bit cheaper, which makes the fact that it's only 720p front and back a little bit easier to swallow. But with an included hardwiring kit, the remote lens form factor, and a true parking mode, I think it could be an okay option for some people. But let's go ahead and look at everything that's included again. So we got the two USB cables for the lenses, the power cord, the two lenses, the DVR, the Wi-Fi dongle, which is another great feature. And overall, it's actually a pretty good package if you can get over the resolution of the video. This would be something that's ideal for someone who wants something that won't be seen by passerbyers. So supposedly it's cheaper to just have an external Wi-Fi dongle. I'm not sure if that's true, but it seems like a few cameras have done that I've tested recently. Overall, I really prefer Wi-Fi with a smartphone app over having a screen, because I'm not going to look at the screen very often. So here it is installed in my glove box. It's pretty messy because I had a lot of stuff in here right now, but it does actually have voice alerts too.
Focus has started. Driving record mode is turned on.
So I installed it right next to my Blackview DR650. So you can see it's significantly smaller, obviously. The only thing I don't really like is the fact that the front is a lighter gray and it has the HD DVR logo on the front, because that makes it a little more visible. So let's go ahead and look at some video. And I'm going to repeat this many times, like I have been, but it's only 720p in the front, and the fact that both front and rear is 720p is going to make a lot of people not even consider it. But you can make your own mind just watching this footage if you think this is good enough for you, because you do get a lot of other features for $240. So another issue with the video is the fact that the front and rear are both only about 4.3 megabits per second. Most cameras now seem to be about 15 megabits per second for 1080p. So while this footage definitely isn't great, it's still better than a lot of those awful old Russian dash camera videos we're used to seeing a lot of times. But for most people, anything less than 1080p might not be good enough for them. And that's understandable. But for a two-channel Wi-Fi remote lens system at $240, it's almost easy for me to recommend, but only for people that don't require 1080p. So I'm going to go ahead and show a couple minutes of clips from day and night, and I'll just let the footage speak for itself so you can make up your own decision. And here's some rear camera footage. Like I said, it's the same bitrate and same resolution as the front, about 720p, 4.3 megabits per second. At night it seems to do fairly well, actually. The fact that it actually picks up my headlights is a little bit promising, because I've had some dash cameras where on this stretch of highway it looks completely dark. So at the very least, it's not the worst 720p night footage I've seen. So even on a completely dark rural highway, it does pick up my headlights a little bit, not a whole lot, but if you get in a car accident with another car, there's going to be a lot of reflections and other lights around you anyways, more than likely. So it does an okay job, even in dark rural highways. I've had some cameras, like I said, even 1080p cameras that would look completely dark on a highway like this. Now the rear camera footage at night doesn't fare too well, but that's to be expected because you don't have headlights shining behind you. So unless there's lights behind you from another car or street lights, it's going to be completely dark behind you. So I wasn't able to actually record the smartphone app, but I did take some screenshots to make sure you at least get an idea of what it's like. Now this is the main menu. The top button turns the Wi-Fi on or off, or the connection to the camera I should say. Then we have the preview function, which will give you a live feed. You can either have front or back, or a picture-in-picture, which I wasn't able to do with these screenshots. But at most it's pretty much just good for pointing the cameras and making sure you have a good angle. You're not going to be able to monitor the camera live from very far away. On the top right is video on demand, or VOD, which is basically just how you look at the saved videos on either the DVR or on your phone, because you can wirelessly transfer them to your phone, which is an awesome feature about Wi-Fi, and that's why I really like Wi-Fi cameras. So then we got the album on the bottom right for pictures that you take, and also the settings on the bottom left. So here you can see when you sort through your videos, you can actually select by date. So these were several days that I had video saved. You can see there's several days where I didn't actually have anything, but that's because I was actually disconnecting the cameras some days because I was testing other stuff too. But here you can sort it between normal, event, and parking. So this is very similar to a black view camera, which I really love. An event is obviously if you get into an impact. So here are the settings. We got the speaker volume, the event sensitivity or G-sensor sensitivity, an event sound, which will make it beep if it senses a big enough impact or bump, the mute on or off, the main LED, which turns LED lights on or off, and also the cellular network, which I'm not even sure what it does. I don't believe this was an option when I first got this, and it's not actually shown in the manual. The settings shows everything but the cellular network in the menu, so this could be something that's only an option in Korea, where you can connect it to your cellular network and somehow back up data to some storage somewhere else, but I'm not totally sure on that. I'll leave an annotation as soon as I find out. But while digging online, Googling, and searching for for product information, I couldn't find anything about what that actually does. I know there has been a camera in Korea that was able to upload at least screenshots during parking mode, so if someone hits your car, it would actually send you a screenshot to your cell phone. I'm not sure if that's what this does, but that would be really cool if you could do that. It likely wouldn't be supported in the US though anyways. So then we got the recording rear camera option during parking mode, which I personally would always recommend having on, because unless you pull into a parking spot backwards, if someone hits you in a parking lot, they're more than likely going to hit you in the back of your car. So then we have the cutoff voltage. That's whatever your car battery drops down to, it'll cut the power to the camera so your battery doesn't discharge. That way your car will always start. Then we got the SD card format and the focus Wi-Fi change, which is to change your password. What's pretty nice is this app actually comes with a manual. So it has the default manual for operating the actual unit and then the app manual. And like I said, the app manual doesn't show cellular network in it, so I'm not sure what that is. Overall, this is a budget camera with great features. Now the biggest budget aspect of it is the fact that the video quality, like I said, is 720p front and rear and only 4.3 about megabits per second. So that's definitely the biggest issue with this camera. But it has so many other features. I can recommend it to anyone that looked at the video footage and thought it was good enough. But if you want to be able to read license plates, this camera is not for you. Basically, you're sacrificing video quality to have a really great form factor, a Wi-Fi functionality with a pretty decent app, and also a true parking mode, and it comes with a memory card and hardware and kit, so it's pretty much a complete package. I'd really like to see eCELL offer a more expensive model that has full 1080p front and rear with a higher bitrate, because this form factor is really great, and I think it would be a great seller here in North America if they could bump up the video quality. But without 1080p front and rear, it's going to be a much smaller hit with most people in North America. But what I do think this camera could be really good for actually is if someone wanted a 4-channel system, they could get a front and rear 1080p system, and then they could save a lot of money and use this for the left and right cameras, because you don't really need great footage left or right. Of course, you can just spend a lot more and get 1080p in all 4 directions, but this would be an affordable option to supplement your rear and front 1080p cameras if you already have those. Now, something I didn't really touch on is the fact that it does have the GPS option, and the GPS module is sold separately, but I personally don't even care for GPS much. But this also does have the video out, so that's a feature a lot of nicer cameras don't even have. So I was almost tempted to see how this would perform as a DVR rear camera system, and then using the second camera as something like an in-cab camera to record inside of my car. So I'm really tempted to continue using this and see what kind of unique jobs I can give this camera, because I do really like the camera other than the fact that it only has 720p. But anyways, like I said before, this was sent to me for review by blackboxmycar.com, and they're kind enough to give my viewers a coupon code, and I'll provide that down below to get $10 off any purchase of $80 or more. And that coupon code is actually valid for anything you buy there. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this review. If you like this review or my other videos, I'd appreciate it if you hit like and subscribe. And as usual, drive safe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.